That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Alright guys, I want to give everyone a massive thank you for all the support that y'all showed on this channel already. I promise you, if I would have known that this many people wanted some quality fantasy basketball content, I would have brought this a long time ago. But everyone who's decided to subscribe, everyone who has decided to drop that like on us, thank you so much. I'm going to continue to try to bring you a fantasy basketball video every single day. And I asked y'all in the last comment section of all of our last videos what video y'all wanted to see next, and y'all overwhelmingly just told me y'all wanted some overall tips on how you construct your fantasy basketball team, what we're going to be looking at in the fantasy basketball draft. So yeah, that's what I'm going to bring to y'all right now. And as always, go down to the comment section and let me know any tips that you have when you're going through your fantasy basketball draft, as well as any videos that you would like to see in the future. Okay, so let's get into this, and let's start it off with our first tip. And here it's one that if you go over and over and over again, I think that you're going to be a very successful fantasy basketball player. And this is to avoid rookies. Okay, so I know everyone, we are all excited when we see a rookie come in at any sport, whether it's the NFL, whether it's the NBA. We just have these massive expectations on what they are going to be able to do, as well as just what they could be once they get to that next level. But overwhelmingly, these rookies tend to disappoint in their rookie year numbers in terms of not really reaching that overall upside of a picture that you want to paint on them. I mean, just go back to what we got from Luka, go back to what we got from Trae Young. Yes, these were some of the best rookies in the entire NBA on what they are able to provide for you in certain statistical categories. But even those two fantastic options still were not necessarily league winners that you are able to scoop up for their rookie seasons. They are guys that can make a difference. But what I am going to prefer to do in my own fantasy basketball league is really avoid the rookies. I don't want to be the guy reaching on a LaMelo Ball. I'd rather just have someone that we know what their minutes are going to look like. We know what their usage rate should be in their offense. And if they can go out there and show us that efficiency beforehand at the NBA level, before we have to make that investment into them, personally, that's what I am going to be looking to do, because the last thing I want to do is just be rostering a rookie for almost no reason. This is not like the NFL where we can see these rookies come in and have a significant impact based off their efficiency right away. I mean, we need a little bit more volume. We need a little bit more minutes and usage rate at the NBA level if we are going to see those rookies make a large impact. So overall, I think that we need to be making sure that we steer clear of most rookies compared to their average cost and where they would go in most fantasy basketball drafts if we want to have a successful draft. Okay, so now my next key advice is going to be going out there and targeting players that are going to stuff the stat sheet at every single category. The biggest mistake that I see whenever I go through and do my fantasy basketball drafts with my friends is that they are going after guys that they are looking at having a very high point output. Someone like a Devin Booker, I mean, someone that is going to be able to put up more than 25 points a game consistently for you. And yes, that is extremely valuable at the NBA level. But here, if they are not going to provide you any steals, if they're not going to get you blocks, if their efficiency is going to be a little bit down, they could be hurting you in more categories where they are helping you. So please, especially at the very beginning of the draft, I am trying to look for the players that are not going to be lacking in any single category. This is honestly why I usually pass up on a Giannis Antetokounmpo at the very beginning of the draft. If I can go out and get a player instead that's going to be able to provide me stats at every position, someone like an Anthony Davis, and you don't necessarily have to tank that one category in the Giannis specific scenario as free throw percentage. So here, that is my second major piece of advice that I can give you, is especially during the early rounds of the draft, because it's going to be a lot harder later on. We are going to be trying to target the players that provide you something at every single category. That way you can mainly stay flexible throughout the rest of your draft and you aren't pigeonholed into a certain strategy. Okay, so now my next piece of advice is going to be prioritizing assists very early on in your fantasy drafts. I mean, guys, if you have gone through and you've done some mock drafts, if you've done really the slightest amount of research at all, I think that we can all come to the same conclusion that those assists dry up so quickly. And that is why I am a part of the team that wants to be drafting a James Harden instead of an Anthony Davis, even with the uncertainty around James Harden and where he will be in 2020, 2021. But still, I think that what we need to be overall doing is looking for those players at the very beginning of our fantasy drafts that are going to be able to provide us those assists. And that's also why one of my favorite picks in the back half of round 1 is going to be a Jokic, someone that we know that even at a rare position such as the center position is going to be able to come out and get you more than 4 or 5 assists a game. That is so valuable at a position where it's really hard to find. So please, guys, at the beginning of your drafts, don't be chasing the points. Don't be going out there and taking a Devontae Booker just for the hell of it. Please instead be going someone that's going to be getting multiple categories for you, as well as prioritizing the assist. Okay, so now my next piece of advice is understanding that some categories are just easier to get than others. And these categories are going to be points, rebounds, and three-pointers. Okay, so here I understand a long time ago, I mean, it was very hard to find a center that could shoot the three. It was very hard to get that production throughout your entire lineup. But now you go into these later rounds and you can always find someone at every single pick that if you are lacking at the three-point range, you can go out there and you can pick them up just for that. And same thing here with rebounds. I know a lot of people were upset that I did not include Andre Drummond in our top 5 center video. And that's just because I am really not going to be prioritizing the rebounds like many other people, because now we are seeing at the NBA level that almost every single player is going to be able to come out here and make a significant impact for you at both the rebounds and the threes and also the points, guys. I know points are really the first thing that everybody looks at, but in my opinion, it's one of those categories where honestly, based on the opportunity that will present itself throughout the course of the entire NBA season, I mean, you should be able to pick up players jumping up into a starting role off the waiver wire that project to have a decent amount of usage, a decent amount of points, but what will not be there necessarily is those assists. What will not necessarily be there is the efficiency from the free throw line and the field goal percentage. So please keep in mind that some statistics are a little bit easier to get, so there's no real reason to have to feel the need to prioritize them at the very beginning of your drafts. Okay, so now our last piece of advice is going to be understanding the difference between perceived talent and opportunity. Now, this is something that I'm honestly taking away from fantasy football as the #1 leak in most people's games, in my opinion, at any fantasy sport, is thinking that they know exactly what a player is going to be able to do based on their real life NFL talent or NBA talent in this case. And here, I think if we take a step back, if you understand someone like Al Horford may not necessarily be one of the most talented players that you're going to be looking at later on in the draft, but because of the minutes that he's projecting to see, because of the usage rate in his offense, I mean, he is still going to be a lot more valuable than some other players. I mean, another great example of this is people overdrafting Zion Williamson just because he's a very exciting player. He looks like he can take that next step up and be the best player for the New Orleans Pelicans. And on top of that, can possibly be someone making an all-star game in their second season. But really, that's not going to translate over to fantasy basketball if they're not getting the usage rate, if they are not stuffing the stat board at every single category. So here, please understand the difference between our perceived talent and the overall opportunity and usage rate that they should have in their offenses. Okay, now let me give y'all one more piece of a bonus advice that I think is going to be able to significantly help you in your drafts, and that is targeting the offenses that either have a very small rotation or targeting the offenses that should be picking up the pace. And what this is going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to see way more possessions. So even if the usage rate for a player in that offense is a little bit lower than another, we know that if they are seeing way more possessions on the court, their numbers at every single statistical category besides the efficiency marks should naturally go up because they're going to have more opportunity to put shots up. They're going to have more opportunity to get those assists in as well as rebounds. So please, guys, understand the importance of pace as well as having a small rotation and an overall small pie of the offense. Okay, now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, if y'all did, go down there, drop that like, leave that comment, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, go down to that comment section and let me know what y'all would like to see with the next video.